What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to the TB Toycast YouTube channel. As today we are unboxing from the Spawn line, it is Shadowhawk. Jim Valentino's Shadowhawk, as a matter of fact. Really tall carding on this. So tall, in fact, I thought I was going to have to readjust my camera. I was like, oh, man. So I actually got it tilted a little ways, but it looks all right on camera, I think. As you can see, like this whole bottom part's like empty. So very unnecessary to be that tall of a package, but you know, what are you going to do? It was the 90s. It includes a grappling hook launching from the forearm. Pretty cool. Obviously, the Spawn line from the 90s. I've unboxed, I think, 3 other Spawn figures. Medieval Spawn, Commando Spawn, and Saber most recently here on the channel. More Spawn to come. I've kind of gotten into these a lot more. I go hot and cold with toy lines. You guys can probably tell from the stuff that I post, where I'll get into something and I want to buy a bunch of it, then I don't want to say lose interest, but I kind of move on a little bit. I'm like, I'm good on that for a while. Then that interest will pick back up. One that picked back up recently, Star Wars, the Black Series. I kind of got out of that for a minute and then saw a couple. I was like, oh, I want to get that. That's cool. And like the interest picked back up again. So I quickly did a unboxing on Dengar, which was the last one probably that you saw. So pretty cool packaging. I love that Spawn logo. Really cool stuff. Like I said, this whole area completely empty. Totally unnecessary for the box to be that big. I think obviously something that you would probably not see as much today, but of course Shadowhawk here is a part of Series 4, which includes Exoskeleton Spawn, of course Shadowhawk Clown number 2, She-Spawn, pretty cool figure, Cygor, I do have him, and the Max. I believe the Max is actually a relatively expensive figure. And then of course here you got Spawn Series 3, if you're so inclined, with Future Spawn, the Curse, which is an awesome figure, Vertebreaker Ninja Spawn, which I definitely would like to get, Cosmic Angela Spawn number 2, Redeemer, and Violator number 2. Of course, a cutout trading card. A little worse for the wear with the packaging, but the Spawn trading cards are always kind of a different size. And then, of course, I love the nice roster for Wetworks Series 1 and 2, which is really cool. And then even down below, we got Youngblood Series 1. I got a few more of those to unbox as well. In fact, I don't think I've unboxed any Youngblood. I'm looking through. I know I have Die Hard. I know I have... Who else do I have? Dutch, maybe? I've done a couple of... I have a couple of Wetworks, but I don't think I've unboxed any of those either. So those will definitely be coming up. But, you know, I don't do a ton of retro stuff, but every now and then I think it's fun to throw in a Kenner Total Justice, or more recently a Kenner starting lineup. In fact, I would do more of that if it wasn't so expensive all the time. These, luckily, are not the most expensive action figures in the world, and I believe I picked up Shadowhawk on eBay, if I remember correctly. I don't know the cost, but you know, I've had some vintage toy shops that usually sell these figures for about 10 or 12 bucks a pop, which isn't bad, isn't undoable. So that's kind of where I get a lot of my Spawn stuff. But you know, also check eBay. You never know. eBay is kind of a good source for all kinds of stuff. Obviously, I use eBay all the time, and usually it's kind of a guide to whether or not I'm going to collect something. I'll check eBay, see what the prices are. And that's where I got into Total Justice. I looked up a few. None of them were over 20 bucks. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm good. I'll get some of these. When they start getting, you know, 70, 80, 90, you're like, I don't know. It's getting a little expensive here. Instructions on the package to show kind of where he puts his weapons. Very cool. That might come in handy. This is actually on the outside of the package, which is interesting. Normally, it's always on the inside for most action figure lines, so it's definitely interesting. Old school packaging comes right off because of that old glue, but it's still stuck on there. So, you know, 30-year-old glue? Great stuff. A little bit of a yellowing to the package, but, you know, again, this is a retro figure. It's never going to be perfect. Got a couple of extra weapons here. Decent amount of accessories for a 90s figure. I don't hate it. I would love to unbox some Marvel Toy Biz, but I've got a pretty sizable collection of Marvel Toy Biz. You know, Marvel, X-Men, Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, etc. And I've kind of told myself, I want to get guys that I want. I don't want to just buy stuff to buy stuff, or buy stuff that I'm unboxing, you know, just to unbox. I want to make sure it's something I actually want. So that is a bit of a prerequisite for me. Will it always work that way? Probably not. I'm sure I'll buy stuff at times that I don't necessarily need. But that's the goal. So I don't know where this goes. Does this go on the back of the arm? I don't know. I'm a little bit lost on this. Where does this thing hook into? Hopefully I can figure it out here. I don't know. I need to check some reference pictures. Alright, we got it back up and rolling here. We got Shadowhawk. Figured out this, obviously this hooked into a little peg in his hand, and this one hooked to his wrist, and he's holding it there in that hand as well. So, ton of accessories. I did not see a spot for this dagger, but that's probably not that big of a deal. It's just a small little dagger, so I'm sure it goes somewhere, though. Yeah, he's got the Wolverine claws. This guy's kind of got everything. Like, if you look at, this figure, he's, definitely got some Wolverine inspirations to him. A little bit of Batman, maybe. Very cool figure. And like I said, I can't say enough good things about Image Comics from the 90s. I feel like they were, like, if we're going to compare this to professional wrestling, they were the ECW. Like, they weren't the premier brand like a WWF or a WCW, but they were that organization that, like, you may have not seen it everywhere. It may not have been the top thing, but you're like, oh, that's cool. And, like, I remember in the old Pro Wrestling Illustrated, they do, like, a top 10 rankings of all the organizations, and you'd see, like, WWF champion, Shawn Michaels, WCW champion Hulk Hogan, ECW champion Shane Douglas. I'm like, oh, I remember Shane Douglas. And then you see these names: Rob Van Dam, Taz, Sabu, rest in peace to the one and only Sabu. You're like, huh, that's interesting. So it was always one of those things where ECW had my interest before I even saw it, and I think Image had that as well. You had some great artists, some really fun characters, but again, you come at that time where it's not Marvel, it's not DC, and branding is absolutely everything. I would love to see some of these characters get their just due, in today's climate. I do know Valiant Comics, which is another kind of a smaller independent comic book company. They had a Bloodshot movie come out a couple of years ago with Vin Diesel, and I remember being like, not so much excited for that movie, but being excited for what that meant. Like, oh, maybe we'll start seeing some Valiant characters. And I don't think we saw any others after that, so that was kind of unfortunate. But I would love to see some Image comic characters, make a transition to the mainstream. Shadowhawk would be awesome. Because I could be wrong here, but I don't think technically he's a part of Spawn. I think it was his own book. No, I'm not saying he's not a part of the Spawn universe, but I think he was technically kind of his own book. Kind of like Wetworks or Youngblood. Or even the Max, who's in Spawn Series 4. But was technically like his own character, I believe. And I've looked up that figure, and I think to get it, you're probably going to be looking at about a $50 price tag. So a little bit more than I would probably want to spend on that, but who knows? Maybe I'll find a deal somewhere down the road. But Shadowhawk, definitely a cool character. I don't really discriminate on the Spawn figures. My prerequisite is usually that it's cool looking. If it looks cool, I'll pick it up. And if you look at back at this card here, that's, of course, Youngblood and Wetworks. These guys are awesome looking. They are really, really fun characters. And I know they've done some Spawn figures here recently, but I would love to see some of these characters revisited, because I feel like as many as he's done, so many of these haven't been revisited yet. And I would love to see them sometime in 2025. I think it'd be cool. Like, I would love a modernized Shadowhawk figure. I think a lot of people would. Kind of a cross between Wolverine, Batman, and maybe even a little bit like Deathlock in there. I see a little Deathlock with the metal and stuff. So maybe even a little War Machine with the guns, right? So it's a little bit of everybody, but definitely a cool figure. But I could also see people looking at this because it's got the Wolverine claws and things of that nature, be like, oh, it's a ripoff, which to me, I never look at it like that. I never looked at Demolition as a ripoff of the Road Warriors. That was like the WWF version of the Road Warriors. While it's not the same, it's not the original, it's something different, and it's something cool. So, sound off in the comments down below. What do you guys think of Shadowhawk? A fun figure worth picking up. It was a relatively cheap one, so I wasn't too upset by it. But let me know, are you a Spawn fan? Do you collect the Spawn line? Are you into the Spawn figures? Definitely cool stuff. And definitely ones I'm going to get more of. Got more Spawn retro figures coming up very, very soon. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this unboxing video, and hopefully you're subscribed to the TB Toycast YouTube channel. Check out some of my other unboxings I've recently done from the Heels and Faces line. Big Bully Busick, check that out. How about The Undertaker as Kane from the Mattel Elite from the Vault line. Super fun unboxing. Check that out as well. And Shredder from the Turtles of Grayskull. All those available in the archives as well. I also just recently did another one. What was it I was doing that was super cool? It was Dengar. I mentioned that before from Star Wars The Black Series. Check that out. More Star Wars to come. I'm picking up more Star Wars all the time, so those will be probably hitting the channel pretty hot and heavy over the next several weeks. Check those out as well. And how about from McFarlane's Music Maniacs line, Alice Cooper. Kind of a random one, but super fun as well. Check that out. Make sure to check out Tales of the Toy Box. 2 episodes currently up. Episode 3 I'm actually working on. I'm going to be working on that a little bit more tonight. So that should be coming up the first part of June, hopefully. And then, of course, What's on the Pegs every Saturday. See what I'm finding. It could be anything from vintage toy shops to your everyday stops of like Walmart and Target and places like that. I kind of wish doing that we still had like Kmart and service merchandise and of course Toys R Us, KB Toys. In fact, I was talking to a guy the other day. There was a store out here years ago called Venture, which was like the poor man's Kmart, which was kind of the poor man's Walmart. But Venture had some toys. Like every now and then you'd find something good there. So didn't go there a lot, but yeah, I miss those big box kind of retail shops where you could find almost anything. So always cool to see it. So yeah, check all those out if you can. Of course, when we hit 100 subscribers, there will be a giveaway. I'm not sure what that will be just yet, but it'll be something good. I promise you that. It'll be something fun and something worth looking into. That will be my guarantee right here on the channel. And I've toyed with that idea of a Patreon or some type of pay service. I don't want to. It's not about necessarily taking money, but I'd like to give people inside scoops, and I think that's fun. If you have any ideas on that, please hit me up. I'm not sure if it's Patreon is the route I want to go, but something along those lines I think would be kind of cool. So just something I'm thinking about, and we'll see where that goes. That is all. Also, check out the TV Toycast podcast every Thursday with me and Travis. We have a different main event where we cover a specific toy line. And also, we talk about all the happenings in the news of the week, whether it's stuff we're picking up, something we're selling, something we're into, something we're excited about, everything in between. So check that out wherever you get your podcast. Thank you guys for checking out the TB Toycast YouTube channel. That's the Shadowhawk, and we will see you in the toy aisle.
Yeah. One more time. It ain't over till I say it's over. So lock the cage up, cause this is a takeover. The wait's over. If this the final time we meet, then you'll be on your back on my feet. Then I'll tip the cage over as a hangover. I'm super fly so I can splash off the top. And I can shut down the shot.